My son passed away not long ago, but on the first day of every month, I still hit transfer $500 to my daughter-in-law, Brianna, so she could take proper care of my grandson. I thought it was the only thing I had left I could do for Evan, my son. After he was gone, I clenched my teeth and worked overtime, cut back on everything, just so the boy, Noah, wouldn't go without. Then, one afternoon, the neighbor who lives across from me pulled me aside, her voice trembling. "Mr. Graham, I don't think the boy is in that house anymore." My name is Graham Mercer, 62 years old, living in Westerville, Ohio. And right then, my blood started to boil, because I realized that for months, I might have been paying to feed a lie. Have you ever been used like that? So cruelly? And what city are you watching from? What time is it where you are right now? That night, after Donna said that, I sat alone in the kitchen until late, watching the phone screen's light reflect off a cup of cold coffee. I'd gotten used to quiet nights since Evan died, but that night was different. It felt like a faint electrical hiss inside the walls. No one hears it until it burns. Evan was gone 9 months ago. A job site accident. I got the news while I was in the garage, my hands still slick with oil, and I rushed to the hospital hoping they'd made a mistake. No one had. My boy was lying there, his face peaceful like he was asleep, and I stood frozen, unable to cry. Noah is what Evan left to the world. 7 years old, messy brown hair, eyes that look at adults like he's trying to figure out the rules. Brianna, his wife, cried a lot at the funeral, exactly when people were watching. When no one paid attention, her eyes dried so fast, I had to remind myself not to think wrong thoughts on the day I buried my son. Since Evan died, my life has become a rigid schedule. I wake up at 5:10 a.m., make black coffee, open the garage door, flip on the lights, and do small tasks so I don't think about the big one. I've always believed a man can't control the storm, but he can control the switch. The first of the month is the worst day. I open my banking app, choose the recipient, type in the same number, $500, like a reflex, then stop for exactly one breath before I hit send. It was the last promise Evan made me in the ER, his voice weak but clear. "Dad, if anything happens, take care of Noah for me." I nodded, a nod that left my life with no way back. People talk about survivor benefits, assistance, paperwork. Brianna filed SSI for Noah, but the money came slowly, and it was never enough. Evan's insurance was there too, but after the funeral and some old debts, it drained fast. I added another $500 a month so Noah could have decent meals, a warm coat for Ohio winters, and the little things kids need that adults love to dismiss. Noah still came to my house on weekends. He'd step in, set his shoes neatly the way Evan did when he was small, then run to hug my legs. Once he looked up and asked, with a honesty that hurt, "Dad coming back?" I swallowed hard, smoothed his hair, and said the only thing I could say, "Your dad is always in you." He nodded, but I could tell he didn't believe it. Kids live by whether someone comes home or not. He always carried a little blue toy car with a broken front wheel. I offered to fix it, just a screw and some glue, but Noah shook his head. "Mom says we can't fix things right now." That sentence got stuck in my head because a toy car with a broken wheel isn't the problem. The problem is a child being taught that broken means you leave it. Brianna usually came to pick Noah up on Sunday afternoons. She'd stand on the porch, tapping her phone, wearing a thin smile. Once I brought up that Noah looked thinner and startled more when he heard a door slam. Brianna sighed and looked at me like I was bothering her. "I'm doing this alone, Graham. Don't make it harder." That hit the softest spot in me, guilt. I didn't want to become the difficult grandpa who made everything messier. I just wanted Noah safe, and I was afraid of losing him too. So I stayed quiet. I sent the money. I bought more milk, another coat. I told myself I was keeping my promise to Evan, do my part, and everything would be fine. But in the past few weeks, Brianna started changing the rhythm. She texted that Noah was stressed, that he needed routine, that coming to my house made him emotionally confused. The first time I heard it, I felt sympathy. The second time, I felt something off. By the third time, when I asked to video call Noah and Brianna, said he's asleep, I looked at the first of the month transfer on my calendar and wondered, if Noah isn't there anymore, then what is my $500 feeding? I couldn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I went into the backyard while the sky was still gray, holding a cup of coffee like a habit to keep my hands busy. The Ohio wind moved through the wooden fence. Brianna's house was 2 blocks away, close enough that I could still feel Evan somewhere, far enough that I wouldn't be seen as lurking. I was checking the lock on the garage door when Donna Klein called softly from the other side of the fence. She lives across from Brianna's place, the kind of person who doesn't like gossip. That's why, when she looked at me with worry in her eyes, my stomach tightened. "Graham," she said, quiet but firm. "I haven't heard Noah's laugh in weeks." I tried to smile it off. "Maybe he's busy with school, or Brianna's putting him to bed early." Donna shook her head. "Trash goes out, lights are on, but that kid, gone." I asked if she was sure she hadn't seen Noah going to school or playing in the front yard. Donna said she's home all day, and if the boy ran out to get the mail or kick a ball, she'd see him right away. "No little footsteps," she said. "No bedroom door opening and closing." I nodded, my mouth dry. On my calendar, the 1st of the month was coming up, and the send button felt like a trap. I wanted to argue, to believe I was just sensitive because I'd lost my son. But Donna isn't someone who makes things up. She kept going, each detail tight like a report. "Last week, close to midnight," she said, "a white van parked in front of their house. Not a delivery van. Sliding door, dark windows. 2 men got out, holding clipboards. They stood on the porch talking to Brianna. I caught bits, transport, paperwork, and then one of them said, 'Tomorrow morning.'" I felt my blood pounding in my ears. "You're sure?" "Sure," Donna said. "I used to be a nurse. When something isn't right with a child, I can hear it." I went back inside and reminded myself, stay calm. Maybe Brianna hired a ride service, but the moment I opened my phone, the screen felt like a slap. Brianna's Instagram had a new story. Neon lights, a cocktail glass, the words "Girls' Night." 3 hours ago, while last night she'd texted me, "Noah's sick, he needs rest." I looked at the clock. 9:14 a.m. I tapped video call. It rang twice, then cut off. I tried again. This time, Brianna answered on the front camera, her makeup light, but her eyes not tired at all. "Where's Noah?" I asked. "He's sleeping," she shot back. "Fever last night. Let me see him for 1 second. I kept my voice low. "I just want to hear him say hi." Brianna sighed like I was overreacting. "Graham, please, you're making him stressed. Doctor said we need calm. No visits, no calls, not right now." "Which doctor? Where?" I asked. "I can take Noah to Nationwide Children's if needed." Her eyes flicked once, very fast. "I can handle it. I'm busy, I'll text later." And then the screen went dark. I stood still in my kitchen, the phone hot in my hand. I thought about Noah's blue toy car with the broken wheel, about the words, "We can't fix things right now." And a bad thought slid up. Maybe it wasn't "can't fix," but "don't want anyone to see." By afternoon, I drove through Brianna's neighborhood. I didn't stop right in front of her house. I rolled past, slowly, like someone just passing by. The living room light was on. The trash bins had been pulled in. Neat. Everything looked like it was running normally. Then I looked up at the second floor. Noah's bedroom window, the one that used to have dinosaur curtains and a nightlight, was bare now. No curtains, no toys. Just a flat, quiet darkness like the room had been cleared out. My hands tightened on the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. That didn't look like a child's room anymore. I didn't drive home right after seeing the empty window. I made another loop around the neighborhood, then parked, turned off the engine, and sat still so my heart could catch up with my reason. If Noah really wasn't there anymore, then where was my $500 going? I opened my banking app and scrolled back through the transfer history. The 1st of the month, $500. Recipient, Brianna Mercer. The word "completed" sat there like a stamp I'd pressed onto my promise to Evan. This time I looked at it the way I look at a breaker panel. Strip out emotion, find what doesn't belong. For the past 6 months, right after I sent the money, Brianna would text within a day or two. "Noah needs supplies. School fee. Doctor copay." Every month, it was short. If the money was for the child, why was she always asking for more immediately after receiving it? I called Troy Henderson, an old friend who works at a credit union. I didn't ask him to look at Brianna's account. I just asked, if money goes in and gets pulled right back out, what does that usually mean? Troy said, "Could be cash withdrawals, but if it's the same day, the same rhythm, that's a pattern." "What kind of pattern?" "Money moving through a pipe," Troy said. "In and out." It doesn't sit to pay bills, and usually it's because people don't want to leave spending footprints. That made my spine go cold. I hung up and called Noah's school, Westerville City Schools. "Hello, I'm Graham Mercer, Noah Mercer's grandfather," I said. "I want to confirm he's still attending school." The secretary asked for his date of birth. I gave it. The sound of typing stretched out. Then she spoke more quietly. "Mr. Mercer, Noah hasn't been on the attendance list this week. The record shows the parent requested to withdraw him 2 weeks ago." My grip tightened on the phone. "Withdraw him to transfer where?" "I can't give an address over the phone," she said, "but the status is pending withdrawal. We haven't received confirmation of enrollment at a new school." I stood in the kitchen and felt the floor go hollow. Noah wasn't just sick. He disappeared from the system. I called Brianna right away. No answer. I texted, "Where is Noah? I just called the school." 3 minutes later, she replied, "He's fine. Stop stressing him out." Not a single word about transferring schools. Not a single word about where the boy was sleeping. Just a shutdown line, like flipping a switch. I understood. I needed someone who understood the law. I found the number for Janice Park, a family attorney who'd helped a friend get emergency guardianship. When she answered, I said it straight. My son died. I send my daughter-in-law $500 a month to take care of my grandson. Now I suspect my grandson isn't living with her. Janice didn't ask if I was okay. She asked, "Do you have Noah's birth certificate? Evan's death certificate? Transfer receipts? Text messages?" "I do." "Gather them now," she said. "Make a binder, 1 tab per item. This is paper power. You don't argue with emotion. You argue with records." She laid out reasonable steps. If I believed Noah was in danger, call the police and request a welfare check. At the same time, prepare to file for emergency kinship placement in family court. "And don't send more money until you know where that boy is," she said. "The money is being used to pull you into silence." The first of the month was 3 days away. I looked at the scheduled transfer. For the first time, I canceled it. If there was a van and paperwork, I wasn't going to fund it anymore. I set a hard binder on the table. I printed the transfer confirmations, screenshotted the texts, pulled Evan's death certificate from the safe. Every sheet I clipped in was one step out of the dark. While I was clipping, Janice called back, her voice tight but urgent. "Graham, you may need to take that boy home tonight." I drove to Brianna's house just as night fell, Ohio darkness making everything colder. Before I got out of the car, I set the binder on the passenger seat like I was setting down a shield. Janice had been clear, don't argue with emotion, argue with records. The porch light was on, but the front yard had no toys, no small bike, no ball. My heart thudded heavy. I walked up the steps and rang the doorbell. Brianna opened the door, only a crack. Behind her, a man was sitting on the sofa, then stood up when he saw me. Derek Holt. Tall, broad shoulders, black hoodie, cold eyes. "Graham," Brianna said, her voice sweet in a fake way. "What are you doing here at this hour?" "I want to see Noah," I said. "Right now." No circling. She blocked the doorway with her arm. "Noah is sleeping. The doctor said he needs quiet." "Which doctor?" I asked. "I called the school. They said his record was withdrawn. I saw his bedroom window empty. I just need to see the boy for 1 minute." Derek stepped up behind Brianna, standing like a shadow. "You're bothering us," he said. "You don't have any rights here." Hot anger ran through my chest, but I held it back the way you keep your hand off a live wire. I pulled out my phone, put it on speaker, and dialed 911. "911, what's your emergency?" "I'm requesting a welfare check for my grandson," I said, my voice clear. "I'm the grandfather. The child's mother is refusing to let me see him. I have reason to believe a 7-year-old may not be here or may be in danger." Brianna's eyes went wide. "Are you crazy?" "I'm doing the right thing," I said. "Please send the police." I stepped down from the porch and stood on the walkway so no one could say I was trespassing. My hands were shaking, but I didn't back down. A cruiser stopped in front of the house. 2 officers got out, 1 male, 1 female. I introduced myself and showed a few papers from the binder. Noah's birth certificate, Evan's death certificate, a photo of the empty bedroom window, and Brianna's text refusing a video call. The female officer skimmed them and nodded. She turned to Brianna. "Ma'am, we need to visually confirm the child is safe." Brianna forced a smile. "He's really sleeping. I don't want to wake him." The male officer said, his tone firm, "We still have to see him." Right then, Donna Klein walked by, wearing a coat, a trash bag in her hand. She stopped when she saw the police car. "Officer," she said, "I'm the neighbor across the street. I haven't heard Noah's laughter in weeks. And I saw a white van come here near midnight. 2 men with clipboards. I heard them say transport and paperwork. Oi, it's The air changed color. Brianna shot Donna a look like she wanted to tear her apart. The female officer looked Brianna straight in the eye. "Where is Noah right now, ma'am?" Brianna blinked fast. He's in his room." "Okay, take us to him." She stepped back 1 pace, then stopped at the threshold. Derek cut in, his voice sharp. "You don't have a warrant. This is our house." The male officer put a hand on his belt. "Sir, step back." Brianna suddenly spoke quickly, like she was firing it off to escape. "Noah isn't here. He's at a friend's house. He was stressed, so I let him change places for a few days." "Which friend?" I asked, my voice cracking, even though I tried to hold it. "Address." Brianna opened her mouth, then went silent. The female officer's tone shifted, cold and official. "Ma'am, if you can't provide the child's location, that becomes a serious issue." I stood under the porch light, hearing my heart pound like a hammer. The front door was still open, but the truth had just slammed shut in my face. When Brianna couldn't give an address for any friend's house, the 2 officers looked at each other. I saw the female officer glance at Donna, then turn back to me. "Sir," she said, "we're going to file a report and contact Children's Services. If the child isn't in the home and the parent can't provide a verifiable location, we treat that as an urgent welfare concern." I nodded, but my head was empty. In a few minutes, everything I'd tried to hold down for weeks, doubt, fear, that feeling of being blindfolded, came crashing down like a ceiling collapsing. I stood on the walkway, cold to the bone, and could only think 1 sentence. Where is Noah? Less than an hour later, my phone rang. Janice Park. "I just got word from the police," she said. No small talk. "Graham, I'm filing an emergency kinship motion. Go home now, get more paperwork ready, and absolutely do not send any more money." I rushed back, opened the binder on my kitchen table. My hands worked while my heart panicked. I printed more transfer receipts, clipped them into the Payments tab. I screenshotted Brianna's texts. The Texts tab. Janice sent me a checklist. Evan's death certificate. Noah's birth certificate. Brianna's address, school information, anything that proved I was the closest family who could care for him. Meanwhile, I called the school back myself. This time, I asked them to email confirmation of the pending withdrawal status and the number of absent days. The counselor lowered her voice. "We've tried calling his mother, but we can't reach her consistently." I heard that and choked up. A 7-year-old doesn't just vanish from class on his own. CPS called me at 9:12 p.m. The caseworker introduced herself as Marisol Grant. Her voice was calm in the way of someone who's seen too many bad things. "Mr. Mercer, we received a referral from Westerville PD. I need you to tell me what you know and what you've observed." I told her everything, no more and no less. The empty bedroom window, the withdrawal request, the white van. Brianna saying Noah was at a friend's house with no address. Marisol asked if I had a place for Noah to stay, a bed, a room, the ability to take him to and from school. I said yes. I said I would do anything. "Okay," she said. "We're going to attempt to locate the child tonight." That night stretched like an overloaded live wire. I sat at the table, staring at the binder, staring at the clock, hearing every car outside like it might be bringing Noah back. Near midnight, Marisol called again. Her voice had changed completely, fast and sharp. "We found him." I shot to my feet. "Where?" "Motel off Polaris Parkway," she said. "Room registered under Derek Holt. The child was alone when we arrived." I don't remember how I got to my car. I only remember Janice texting, "I'm meeting you there. Don't say anything you don't have to. Let records speak." At the motel, the smell of cigarettes and bleach mixed together. The hallway lights flickered. A police officer stood in front of the room door. When it opened, I saw Noah curled up on the bed, still hugging the toy car with the broken wheel. His eyes were wide, like he was used to adults disappearing. I dropped to my knees. "Noah, Grandpa's here." He looked at me for a second, then lunged forward and clung to me, shaking hard. I heard his stomach growl softly. On the table was a cold pizza box and a cheap bottle of soda. Marisol said quietly, "We're taking him for a medical check. Standard protocol." We brought Noah to Nationwide Children's Hospital. A nurse led us into a room, took his temperature, checked the faint bruises on his forearm, asked simple questions. Noah answered in a small voice, like he was afraid of being punished. When the doctor stepped out, Janice pulled me into the hallway. "We have grounds for emergency placement," she said, "but Brianna will counter." I went back into the room. Noah looked down at the broken car in his hand, then said like he was describing something normal, "Mom said I was expensive." I went still. He looked up again, eyes red-rimmed. "And the van people take kids who cry too much." Right then, Janice's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face hardened. "Graham," she said, "Brianna just filed an emergency custody order and a protection order naming you." I felt my blood go cold and boil at the same time. Janice didn't let me panic. The next morning, in the hospital waiting room, she set my binder on the table. "Graham, listen to me," she said. "Brianna filed an emergency custody order and a protection order to switch roles, to make you the threat and her the victim. We don't react with emotion. We react with procedure." Noah was asleep in the room next door, his hand still wrapped around the toy car with the broken wheel. I looked through the glass window and felt my throat tighten. Janice handed me the temporary hearing schedule and a list of what we had to do in the next 24 hours. CPS has the report that Noah was found alone at the motel. The hospital will have notes. The school has attendance. Those things hold up in court. I asked the question I hated having to ask. What about the 500? The first of the month is coming. If I stop the transfer, she'll say I abandoned Noah. Janice nodded. That's why we changed tactics. You don't put money in her hands anymore. You pay directly for Noah's needs. Pay direct. If needed, I'll set up a temporary escrow to show good faith. But today, you pause sending money to Brianna. I opened my banking app and looked at the scheduled $500 transfer. My fingers shook for one beat. Then I hit cancel. The screen displayed, transfer canceled by user. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe. Near noon, my phone buzzed. "Brianna." Janice signaled for me to turn on recording in a legal way. "You have the right to keep a record to protect yourself, but don't provoke her," she whispered. "Let her expose herself." I answered, "Hello, Brianna." Her voice exploded like fireworks. "What the hell are you doing? Where's the money? You can't just cut it off." "I'll pay for Noah," I said, keeping my voice even. "I can pay school fees directly, medicine, clothes." "No," she screamed. "You send the money to me like before. If you don't, you will never see Noah again. I swear. I'll tell the court you're harassing me. I'll make you disappear from that boy's life." My heart slammed, but I heard every word clearly. That wasn't stress anymore. That was a threat. I said slowly, "Noah is in the hospital because CPS found him alone at a motel. You think threatening me right now is smart." Silence. Then her voice dropped lower, sharp as a blade. "Then meet me. If you want this to stay quiet, noon tomorrow, Inniswood Metro Gardens. Come alone. Bring cash." I didn't argue. "Okay." She hung up. Janice looked at me, cold and steady. "Now we have a threat, a cash demand, and a meeting location. This is her trap, and it's also our opportunity." I nodded, Evan's words in my head. "Protect Noah. Don't argue." I swallowed hard. "What are you going to do?" Janice closed the binder. "We're notifying CPS and the police. You'll go on time, to the right place, say the lines we prepared, and you won't be alone." She put a hand on my shoulder, very light but firm. "We'll be there, quietly." Inniswood Metro Gardens that afternoon was cold and bright. I arrived early, parked at the edge of the lot so I could see the entrance. Noah sat in the back seat, holding the toy car with the broken wheel, silent like he was holding his breath. Janice told me to do only one thing: stay calm and let the truth speak for itself. CPS and plainclothes police were around the park. I didn't look at them, but I knew they were there. At 1200, Brianna showed up in sunglasses and a leather jacket. Derek followed behind, scowling. Brianna tapped on my car window. "Where's the cash?" she asked. "I didn't bring cash," I said. "I'll pay directly for Noah, doctor, school, clothes." She laughed, a laugh with none of the exhaustion of a burned-out single mom. "You think you're saving someone? The boy is a check, Graham." That made my blood boil. Noah lowered his head, his hand squeezing the toy car until his knuckles went white. I took a breath. "If you want to see your son, talk properly." Brianna glanced around the parking lot like she was searching for a signal. Then she motioned to Derek. They're here. A white van rolled in, exactly like Donna described. Dark windows, sliding door, no logo. Two men got out, each holding a clipboard and a stack of papers. "We're ready for transport," one of them said, handing a sheet to Brianna. The seal on it looked like a photocopy, the lettering faint like a rushed print. Brianna snapped toward me. "Bring the boy out, now!" I stepped down and blocked the back door. "No." Her face hardened. Her voice rang out, clear enough that I knew the mic on my shirt caught it. "Put him in the van." One of the men stepped forward. For a second, it felt like I was about to lose Evan all over again. The wind sweeping through the parking lot sounded like an ER door. Noah whispered, "Grandpa." I clenched my hand and stood there like a utility pole in front of moving traffic so Noah wouldn't be pulled away. At that exact moment, Marisol from CPS stepped out, holding up her badge. "Stop. Identify your agency and license." Two officers moved in at the same time. Derek barely shifted toward the car door before his arm was grabbed. Brianna took a step back, then screamed, "He's kidnapping my child!" Janice appeared from behind an SUV, the binder in her hand. "We have the hospital intake, the motel welfare check, and his recorded call," she said, her voice even, not needing to be loud. The police demanded paperwork from the van crew. They fumbled, looked at each other, started backing up. An officer blocked them. "You're not leaving." Noah clung to my shirt. I bent down and whispered, "I'm here." As Brianna was separated to be handled, I looked straight at her and said the cleanest win of my life. "I'm not taking revenge. I'm just taking my grandson home, legally." 3 days later, I stood in front of a judge in Franklin County with the binder clamped tight in my hands. No one in that room cared whether I was hurting or angry. The court cared about records. CPS presented the motel report. Noah had been left alone. Nationwide Children submitted medical notes and a safety assessment. The school provided the number of absences and the pending withdrawal status. Then the police submitted the Inniswood report, the white van, the questionable paperwork, and the command, "Put him in the van." Brianna sat on the other side, her face cold. Derek had been separated into a different matter. The transport team was under investigation for operating without a license and attempting to move a child in violation of regulations. The judge looked Brianna straight in the eye and asked one simple question. Where was the child sleeping? She said nothing. The temporary order was signed immediately. Noah would stay with me under kinship placement. Brianna would have supervised visitation only, along with parenting classes and a psychological evaluation. Any financial support for Noah had to go through Pay Direct, not handed over. Noah started therapy, he went back to school, and for the first time in weeks, he laughed on the playground. One night, he handed me the toy car with the broken wheel. "Grandpa, can we fix it now?" I didn't say anything. I just grabbed a screwdriver and replaced the wheel. When the car rolled again, Noah looked at me like he had just relearned a rule. When something breaks, you fix it. You don't abandon it. I opened a 529 account for Noah and set up a small trust. Every dollar I spent went through the school, the hospital, or a clear bill. No more money disappearing into the dark. The lesson I took from it was simple. Grief makes you generous. Paper makes you safe. And if someone only loves you when you pay, they don't love you. They love the check. What about you? What city are you watching from? And what time is it where you are right now?